Hello everyone and welcome to 2023. It is currently January 2nd.
Yes, I'm aware that it's not the beginning of the year anymore and that we're now nearing the beginning of March, but I went through a pretty rough exam phase. Really didn't have any time. And also, I forgot some of the most important books I read this year, which is horrible. I legit do not know how that happened, but I did, and so we're gonna add them in here. A lot of books that I did read that are being mentioned in this video are books that you probably know if you are in the Bookstagram or in the book talk community. They're just not hidden gems. They're just, talked about a lot. Don't worry, it's not just book talk books. There's also a lot of books that are not known like this, and then I would also definitely recommend. If you think this is absolutely not for you, that's completely fine. I just love them personally, and I think a lot of people do, so let's go.
I don't even know where to start. Let's start with the first book I read this year, 2022, because, you get it. We're not starting off strong, to be honest. This is Sweet on Me by Helena Hunting. I read it in German. I think the original is English. Yep. To be honest, I was a little bit disappointed. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Just side notice here, 3 stars out of 5 for me is really bad. Like, I give 5 stars easily because I just generally enjoy books, and if a book manages to transport me or like makes me feel emotions, I will probably give it 5 stars. I know I need to straighten up my oh god. Yeah, you get what I mean. So 3 stars is the worst I have ever given. It is the 3rd part of a series I actually enjoyed a lot. Like the first 2 books, I loved them. This was a little bit disappointing. Let's move on. Another book I read in German, originally in English, Boston Belle's Hunter. It is the first part of the Boston Belle series. I'm definitely gonna go on reading it. I gave it 4 stars. I don't really have an explanation for it. I don't remember this as good. I just remember definitely wanting to go on with the series, which is a good sign. Let's go over to the next book, which is probably one of my favorite books I have ever read, which means something because I've been reading ever since I was like 7. I never stopped. This book is by, apologize for the pronunciation. Like, I have no idea if this is correct or not, but Nadine Evaristo. The book is called Girl, Woman, Other, and it has opened my eyes to quite a few things. This is a book that I would recommend to every single person, not only girls. Definitely 5 stars. So to explain the concept of the book a little bit, 12 women who all live very different lives and who have very different beliefs, but they are all somehow connected. It really makes you realize how much everything depends on point of view. It was amazing. I just don't know how to describe it. It was breathtaking. Love on the Brain is definitely a book that you probably know if you are in the book talk or in the Bookstagram community. It's just as good as everyone says it is. I definitely gave it 5 stars. Love Ailey Hazelwood. I love Bee, that's the main character. She reminds me of me a lot when she's rambling and when she's doing quite a bit of stuff. So yeah, I would totally recommend this to you. I don't know if this is like enough for you to read it, but if you have the chance to get this book, you won't regret it. It's just a book that makes you happy, like giddy. I think it's great. The story is amazing. I just want to reread it, but I have so many books I need to read. I have like 60 books, like 60 unread books at home, so yeah. The next ones are these 2. The Worst Best Men by Maya Souza and The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Okay, those 2 are not my favorites, but I'm not saying that they're bad. I give this 3 stars, which is the worst I give. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars. It's very repetitive, I would say, and I don't really like the main character, Josh, so this is just my personal opinion. I feel like a lot of people are sharing this opinion. I can just agree. It's just not the best read. I cannot be mean about books. This is just... Normally, when I read a romance, I just fully dive into the story and into their world. I just can't wait to turn the page, right? There's all these kind of sensations that I'm feeling, but it just wasn't the case with this one. So this kind of book, maybe someone's cup of tea. but it isn't mine. The other one was a bit better. Like, it's totally this rom-com style, not very, very deep. It's a good read for in between. In this case, I wanted to turn a page. It has 4 stars, which is very good, but it isn't 5 stars, so. Talking of emotions, Midnight Sun. There's a movie, you know, this is from the movie. I knew that it wasn't a happy ending, and still it made me weep so much. Like, for an hour, I was just crying. I had time to emotionally prepare myself. From the beginning of the book, it's clear, you know. I even knew what was going to happen at the end. It just hit me like a truck. My brother was laughing at me so much. Wow. If you're in the mood for something like this, go for it. Another book I absolutely loved this year is Red, White, and Royal Blue. It's also just kind of like easy read romance. They're actually doing a movie of it now, which I'm so excited for. I saw the cast and they're perfect for these roles. This book, I just felt everything, and it had me hooked. I didn't want to put it down. And I also love the characters. Have I told you this? Let's go to a book that probably not a lot of people know. I read it in French. I don't know, there's probably other versions of it. La joueuse de Go, Shansa, set in China a long time ago. It's about the invasion of China through Japan. It's about a girl who is very good at this game called Go. La joueuse de Go, and this Japanese soldier. The first half, I'm not going to lie, put me into such a reading slump, like I've never witnessed it before. Just here, it starts getting so good, and I was like, I give it 4 stars because the end is just so good. It was the recovery. 1 star was reduced for the first half. Another series that Book Talk loves. The Spanish Love Deception and the American Roommate Experiment. Let's start with the first part. It's a slow burn. Like, it's a slow burn, okay? I don't want to spoil anything for those who haven't read it, but 400 pages. Okay? It's fake dating, but this is an amazing book. It's just a feel-good book. It's like the kind of book that has you like, finally! I didn't think it could get any better, but then Rosie and Lucas get involved. This man also, first of all, this book is their revival, so they are mentioned in this book as well. There's this amazing story between the two of them. Definitely friendship first. She's a writer, a romance writer, and she's kind of like in this slump. They decide to go on 4 dates to help her get her creativity back. Happy ending, feel-good thing, probably one of the best male leads I have ever seen. I mean, I have ever read. He totally has this golden retriever vibe. I totally recommend. Here's the next one. Play With Me by Becca Mack. So this is the second part in the Playing for Keeps series. The first part is called Consider Me. And to tell you the background story here, I read the first book on Wattpad, and just after I finished it, like a week later, it got monetized. It was like my favorite Wattpad story. I was like, okay, no, I have to buy this in book form. I thought I was getting the discreet cover of the first part now. I got the spicy one. Why not, honestly? But for the second book, I made sure to get the discreet version. The second book is about Carter's sister, Jenny. Carter is the male lead in the first book, and his best friend, Garrett. Just like Lucas Martin, he's this very golden retriever vibe. It's just so sweet. And Becca Mack, I love your books. Important information. It's hockey. It's hockey. Just saying, it's a hockey romance. I'm totally obsessed with this series. Just found out that this is going to be a longer series, and honestly, I cannot wait for the next books. Amazing to follow, and the romance is incredible. And everything about it is just incredible. So start with Consider Me and then go to Play With Me. You will not regret it. This is something I can promise you. If romance is your kind of thing, as you have realized, romance is my thing, okay? Not in real life, but on paper, wow. This is one of the few non-fiction books I read this year. I have collected a lot, so the coming year, so 2023, will be filled with a lot more non-fictional books. The Richest Man in Babylon, which is a book I think everyone should get and read. Babylon was, even thousands of years ago, it was one of the biggest and richest cities, not biggest, but like the best working cities. Just, I don't know how to describe it. This is just based on stories. It teaches you a couple of money principles that will help you gain wealth. Even though it has this like old writing, like behold thy lean person is fattening. It just is a great book and has taught me a bunch of things I think everyone should know. Another series I read that is very known to Book Talk, the Made Men series, consisting of The Sweetest Oblivion, The Maddest Obsession, and The Darkest Temptation. I enjoyed reading them a lot, but there's just a part of them that I don't fully enjoy. A component I do not really enjoy. Gianna in the second book is an exception, but the first and the third, totally those innocent, spoiled girls, you know, whose dads are in the mafia. And so basically there are these daughters who are like protected their whole life. And for example, in the third book, there is a lot of growth on Mila's side, which is amazing. At the beginning, I couldn't stand her, just how naive she was. And I mean, in this case, it isn't her fault because she was really just treated like a princess, just secluded from the real world for her whole life. So when she gets out, obviously she's gonna be like a little bit naive, but it just pissed me off. It was to a level where it pissed me off, but there's growth, so that's amazing. Gianna is such a strong person. She has done things to survive. It's crazy. Sweet Elena, she's also this kind of very spoiled girl. She has character development as well, which I love seeing in books, but it's just not it. I would give all of them 4 stars. So they are good, but they aren't perfect. What is perfect though is the Shatter Me series. I'm not even done with it. It's just incredible. So you have Shatter Me, then you have Unravel Me, and Unite Me. It consists of 2 novellas. So basically the first part of it is read before Unravel Me, and the second part of it is read after Unravel Me. Ignite Me, and then there's Restore Me. Need the rest of the series now. Because this is a cliffhanger. Something incredible just happened, like crazy incredible. And I'm just left here with no further pages to read, which is just mean. Basically, Juliet has the power to kill people with her touch. She's been mistreated by her parents for her entire life, and also she's been put into an asylum for almost a year now. And so it starts when she's in the asylum and a lot of crazy things happen. And I think I always talk about character development. In this case, it's just the character development on another level. Literally through the first book, just through the way she thinks, you realize just how much she changes. Every book, it gets better. And that's the thing I didn't want to believe. I was already mesmerized by the very first book. And I read the second one and I was like, how did it get better? The same thing happened with the third and the fourth one. And so now I'm just sitting here, cannot believe that this series is this good, and waiting to get the next book. I don't like forcing people to do stuff, but if you like to read and haven't read this one, you are missing out. It's not a joke. You are missing out like on a lot. This series is 10 out of 5 stars. Contrasting, a book that disappointed me a bit, I give it 4 stars. It's slow, a very slow burn. But the thing is, in the end, in Spanish Love Deception, it is worth it. You know, it is worth it. The end is just epic. Here, it's just, I mean, it's good, right? But it's just, there are no fireworks. Obviously, it's a great book. I give it 4 stars. That means something. There's just a component missing. In this book, it's the male lead who has a character development, which I think is amazing because at the beginning, I couldn't stand him. If you like football romances, this might be your cup of tea. I wouldn't reread it though, so. The Song of Achilles, first part sent me into a reading slump. The second part had me in tears. It hurt me so much. By the way, it's the story of Achilles and Patroclus, who grew up together. There was a time where I didn't want to read on because I had a feeling that, you know, things were going to change. And I just didn't want it. They were just perfect together and I just didn't want anything to change. I'm going to get cancelled by a couple of people. Not that I think I have the relevance to get cancelled, but whatever. Colleen Hoover. For a long time after I read It Ends With Us, I just finished reading this book and I was shocked. I was just, you know, it made me feel so many things, and I felt with Lily. I just felt how hard it was. It Ends With Us just made me cry, just like everyone else, I think, who just read this without knowing that there's a lot of people hating on Colleen Hoover and her books. We all felt the emotions, especially the ones that, you know, the struggle that led to speaking the words. If you have read this book, you know what I'm talking about. I genuinely like this book. I think it's incredible. I just think it's incredible. And then I was so excited for the second part to come out. I can't say that it did not disappoint a little bit. It was less of a ride than It Ends With Us. It was just their happy ending. It made me happy. It genuinely made me happy to read this, to know that Atlas and Lily finally get the chance that they deserved all along. It wasn't just as deep as the first part. It moves you, but in different ways than the first part. You know, there are some crazy plots involved. I just love Theo and gosh, those two are epic. They're just cool. And then there's Ugly Love. First thing I want to say is that I don't like Miles. I know what happened to him is tragic, and it shocked me to the bone, but I think Tig deserves better. Everyone who has read it knows that she deserves better. I genuinely enjoyed it, and I think a lot of people do, and also a lot of people don't. There's no person who's like, I don't care. With Colleen Hoover, it's either you like her books or you don't. I'm not talking about her. Either you don't like her books or you do. I did. I actually enjoyed the 3 books I read by her. I think the plot twists and the stories are always on point. Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Wow. Just wow. It really makes you rethink your life. At the beginning I was like, well, that's her choice, right? She wants to die. It's her choice. She lived through these lives, and the more and more I was like, girl, do you really want to do this? And I think that's what she thought as well. This book is a roller coaster, and I loved every second of it. Another non-fiction book I read this year by Maria Hatzistefanis, How to Make It Happen. One of my favorite quotes from this book is, nothing fabulous happens inside a comfort zone. And I think it's a thing I need to remind myself of more frequently. It has a lot of great lessons in it. Maria Hatzistefanis is the founder and the CEO of Rodeo, which is a makeup brand. In this book, she tells you her story of the lessons she learned from her failures and from successes she has had. I think this is a great book for anyone to read. I know the cover may be a little bit girly, but it's totally something everyone can read. One of my favorite fantasy series is The Midnight Chronicles by Laura Kneidl and Bianca Iosioni. Something like that. It has 6 parts, and I read 3 of them. Seelenband, Todeshauch, and Nachtschwur. I read the 3 of them in 2022 because that's when they came out. I started the series when there were only 2 books out, and now for every book I had to wait like a couple of months for it to come out. The story is about hunters. The main characters are Roxy and Shaw, but they only have like 3 of the 6 books. The other 3 books are about other couples that are also hunters. There's blood hunters, and there's soul hunters, magic hunters. There's free hunters that are basically not born a hunter. And then there's grim hunters. Roxy and Shaw's story probably has the most plot twists, obviously because it's the longest. It's definitely worth trying to read. It's a romantic fantasy. I didn't love waiting for the books. I just loved to know that the new book is out and that I can go on reading the story. Everything is like connected, obviously, and it's crazy. My Body by Emily, Ratajkowski. Y'all know her. She's this gorgeous woman. She tells her story and her relationship to her body in this book. Again, it opened up my eyes to a bunch of things. It's crazy to see what she went through. Some of this book is deeply relatable to, I think, a lot of women and just a lot of people in general out there. It's just really interesting to see her story, her perspective, her thoughts. 4 stars. Another series I loved. I love a lot of books. This is why it's so easy for me to give 5 stars, because I generally like the books. This is the Dreamland Billionaire series. Rowan, Declan, and Cal are 3 brothers whose grandpa wanted all 3 of them to complete something to get his will. For example, for Declan, his grandfather wanted him to get married and having an heir. Those books are great. This is all I can say. If you like morally gray men. Oh my god, those books are so cool. I can't wait for a third one. A book that is exactly what it sounds like. Dirty Headlines by ajtxD. I love her. Like, I love her writing. I think I should start reading her books in English. I just remember this being an amazing book. I just read over the keywords I noted and just nothing rings a bell. I just can't remember it. I remember the feeling I had after reading it and it was amazing. So, ajtxD, the deal. I have no freaking clue what happened for ajtxD to be this bullied author on Book Talk. I heard that a lot of people were saying that they don't like the way the girls are. I cannot really agree to this, like a little bit, but not very. So I gave it 5 stars. I love hockey romances. I just love the story. I think it's great. My favorite part is where she cooks lasagna. I don't know, I just was hungry for lasagna, I guess. I didn't like both of them all the time. There were scenes where I just didn't like them, but I think it's part of a book, you know? I mean, obviously, there's books where I like the main characters all the time, but there's also books where I just don't, and that's fine because, you know, they change throughout the books and stuff. The rest of the book, I loved it. And also, I mean, hockey. I'm just kidding. I swear I'm not this obsessed, okay? Garrett Graham is just cool. You know, I love seeing this in books when like people get better and stuff, which is also why I just adored. I mean, it's not the only reason why I adored the next series here. And I'm only 3 books deep, which I'm mad about because I want to read them faster. And it's the Addicted series. I'm going to read the Addicted and the Calloway Sisters series like together. So the next book isn't about Lily and Lauren anymore, but I can't wait to read Rose and Connor and Rose. It's another series where I just love all the characters, the character development. I know it, I just talked about it a lot. But in this series, it's just like in the Shadow Me series on another level. It's incredible. And I'm so proud of Lily and Lo. I cannot wait to read the other books. The stories are great. I love the sisters together. I love how Lily's improving. I love how Lo is improving. I love how everything is happening. I cried at the sentence, "Wait for me, I need you to wait for me." It just made me cry so much. The series consists of books that totally suck me into the story and that have me be there. I swear, when I read those 2 books, I had to work, so I couldn't read for a while. It made me homesick. Like literally, I was reading in the morning and then I went to work and then I literally felt homesick. I wanted to plunge back into their world and know what happens next.
Now, one of the best series I ever read, the Twisted series. It's like this: Twisted Love, Twisted Games, Twisted Hate, and Twisted Lies. Okay, I'm obsessed. And I just love Anna, the author, for also giving us additional scenes. I'm this kind of person that's like obsessed with having, you know, the whole romance book and then at the end having like those domestic scenes where everything is like settled and stuff. And that's definitely what she gives us. So my favorite book was probably Twisted Lies. Then I'd say Twisted Games, then Twisted Love, and then Twisted Hate. I feel like there's rarely 2 people who have the same ranking for these books, yet I feel very strongly about this. First of all, I'm absolutely obsessed with Christian Harper. If he were in real life, he'd be a walking red flag, but he's a fictional man, so we like it. My least favorite couple was probably from Twisted Hate. The bar is pretty high though, so I wouldn't make much of it. I still enjoyed it. There's just some parts where I didn't really love Josh, but in the entirety of it, loved all the characters. This whole world that's being created, which is awesome. You know, as a reader, we love it when there's like this whole world we can just find our way in. I didn't love Alex Volkov in the first book. I love him in the next books, but in the first book sometimes I was a little It is just that Christian Harper and Rice Larson have put the bar very high because he is absolute and utter perfection. Also, I love the girls. They're all so cool and they're each in own way, and just all the characters, big love. The additional scenes, big love. The whole stories, 10 10 out of 10 would recommend. Another book I read this year, I don't have the physical copy of it. I read it as an ebook, Marriage for One by Ella Mays. I gave it 5 stars, I think. It's just the kind of story that I love. To be honest, I don't remember every single detail of it. Love the tropes. I love her. I love him. It's just a lot of love. I remember reading this all the time because I had it on my laptop and I have my laptop in school. And I remember like reading this during boarding classes and stuff. As soon as I had the chance, I just jumped back into the story, which is a really good sign. And this pretty much sums up all the 45 books I read this year. I really hope that you got some inspiration out of it. I know that those are not hidden gems, but they're definitely worth it. If you already knew them, love you. Share your opinion and bye!